good. Alright, so welcome to PechaKucha Night Ubud 42. Wow. There's a lot of people. I expected less people, but now it makes me a bit nervous. But anyway, this is exciting. Thank you so much for coming. Before we start, I just want to remind people who are sitting upstairs, please don't sit too near the edge because, you know, like if you fall, we don't have insurance, it's gonna be our problem and stuff. So please, especially the kids over here, can you just like move a bit back? Thank you. And yeah, again, welcome. I don't know if you noticed lately it's been very hot in Bali. I don't know if it's because of Ubud riders but the temperature has been rising. For most of you who are traveling here for the first time in Indonesia, at the moment there's actually a heat wave. So apparently in Java it's recorded that the hottest temperature was 39 degrees. And a couple of days ago it felt like 37 degrees in Bali, so everybody is sweating, and I don't know why I choose this outfit tonight. It's actually hot, but I'm excited to show some, you know, kurta. But anyways, I think the point, what I'm going to tell you is that global warming is real, you know, so it's not normally this hot. Well, applause if you agree with me. Thank you. Okay, before I go on and on about the temperature, I'm gonna introduce you to this one hot man over here. My name is 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗧 and I am the host for tonight. Back in uni time, I had that photo and I like, yeah. Anyways, yeah, so I didn't know that it was gonna be embarrassing. But anyways, yeah, I'm the community manager of Hubud. I'll talk a bit more about Hubud later, but I'm so excited to be hosting the PechaKucha Night tonight. And for a lot of you, I don't know, how many people have been to PechaKucha so far? Right, who has not been to PechaKucha? There's many of you as well. So this is your first time, yeah? So for those of you who are coming here for the first time to PechaKucha, PechaKucha is a presentation night that has a very specific format. And the format is 20 times 20. So each speaker that will be presenting tonight, they will have 20 slides, and for each slide, they will only have 20 seconds. So it's 6 minutes 40 for each presenter to present their talk and about their what they're doing with their work and their organizations. Right, so speaking about the speakers, tonight we have exciting speakers. They are the lineups of Ubud Riders and Readers Festivals. And they're flying in from all around the world to come here to speak at Ubud Riders and Readers Festival and also here on PechaKucha stage. And for those of you who are living under the rock and you're in Ubud but you don't know what's happening, there's Ubud Riders and Readers Festival happening in town. I see a lot of you wearing the badge coming here. Some of you are speakers or participants. But if you don't know what Ubud Riders and Readers Festival, it's a 5 days program. It consists of panel discussion, literary lunches, music, arts performances, writing workshops, art exhibitions, I already mentioned that, no? Book launches, and many more. And they're all happening in this town in Ubud for 5 days. So if you want to attend, you can look at Ubud Riders and Readers Festival's website. And again, we're so lucky that we are asked by Ubud Riders and Readers Festival to organize PechaKucha special edition during UWRF. So I want you guys to give a big applause to UWRF, Ubud Riders and Readers Festival. Right. So tonight we have 6 speakers that will inspire us with their talk. These 6 speakers, they have done incredible work in literature, environmental conversation, conservation, restoration of cultural heritage, education, philosophy, and also fashion. So I want you to make a very loud noise when I call out their names, because tonight we will have Didi Maulana, we have Jorge Franco, Carolina Khan, Faisal Kumar, Richard Fajar, and Sarah Dewi. I can feel the 5. So we will start with our first speaker, and the first speaker of tonight is 𝗨𝗪𝗏𝗏. Right. So 𝗨𝗪𝗏𝗏 is a Chinese journalist and writer. Previously, he has worked at Radio France International and also the New York Times. And he is now an environmental news editor at China Dialogue. Caroline's debut work of nonfiction, Under Red Skies, The Life and Times of a Chinese Millennial, was published earlier this year in spring 2019. Now, speaking about the journey of women in 70 years of the People's Republic of China, please help me to welcome Carolina.
Thank you everyone for coming to tonight's event. So the topic of my presentation today is the journey of Chinese women in the 70 years of PRC, that is People's Republic of China. So my grandmother used to say that women are born to be unlucky because she and most of her friends could do nothing at the time. What they spent their time on was cleaning the house, cooking, trying to make the husband happy, making babies, taking care of the children. My grandmother became an orphan when she was 3 years old, and she never went to school. She married at 16, and she almost ended up having foot binding, the very common practice among Chinese women at that time. But luckily, the revolution ended that, and my grandmother also stopped it a few days after she started. So very luckily, she had a healthy feet. What did it mean to be a Chinese woman at that time? So I asked my grandmother, and she taught me a lot of day-to-day details, which I think reveals a lot of information. She said, as a woman, you had to save all the fine rice for your husband and your sons, and you and your daughters could only either eat the leftover or the coarse bread made from those corn flour. And on festivals, you were not supposed to share the same table as men because you were considered as a second citizen of the society. Then China's Chairman Mao came and said women could hold up half the sky. But my grandmother never had an opportunity to prove it was true or not. My mother's time was different. She and her friends were encouraged to go to school and work out from home. It was during the Cultural Revolution in the 60s and 70s. The Cultural Revolution damaged a lot in the society, but it was also a society for women in China to do something different. I asked my mom, what do you think it means that women could hold up half sky? And she said, basically you were encouraged to behave as a soldier, you behave as a man, you compete with men, you were no longer a woman anymore. So there is always another side of the story, even though they were encouraged to go to school, but close the door at the family when the family could only afford one child to go to high school. They gave that opportunity to my uncle, not my mom, only because she was a girl. And as a girl, you were not supposed to grab the opportunities from your brothers. And also in the 30 years of the one-child policy, when China to the Chinese officials, they have to control the fast-growing population, and women's body were no longer, women even couldn't control their own body. Like how many children you decide to have was no longer a matter of your personal choice, but was considered to be a choice the country, the state, already made for you. So in the name of that, forced abortion were carried out, and a lot of female babies were abandoned. But although there were those difficulties, tens of millions of Chinese women like my mother and my grandmother, they struggled and they tried to create some more opportunities for themselves and for their daughters. Like my mom, she had me, her second child, whose birth was considered to be illegal. And by doing that, she had to make a lot of sacrifice. And later, when I was about 6, 7-year-old, she decided we need to move out of the village to the nearby town because my brother and I would have a better education. So it was because of those sacrifices, those struggle, that young women today, like me, could stand from a higher point in chasing what we want in our life. So today, a lot of Chinese young women take it for granted that we go to school and we go to work with a full support from the family. It is something that my grandmother never had, never dreamed about, and my mother struggles for so long to have. But still, the difficulties and the pressures are still huge there for Chinese women. Like in most of the places in China, boys are still preferred, and the young girls and young women would experience the gender discrimination probably since the first day of their school. And if you are feminist, you try to go to protest in the street, you probably will end up being in jail or facing a lot of police harassment. And in the latest Me Too movement, women who spoke out, they face those huge backlash from the society where slut shaming is so deeply rooted. But we have reason to believe, I think we have reason to believe that by using our wisdom and working hard, we could create something better for ourselves and for our future daughters, like our grandmothers and mothers used to do. And they have proven it to us that even in those worst situations, there was always hopes. And I hope they will be really proud of us at what we have achieved today and how determined we are in achieving more in the future. Thank you. I'm a little bit early. Thank you. Yeah, so this is a collection of my family photos. So you could see photos of my grandmother in the 1990s. So she was so excited. I remember when she finally could visit Beijing. She always dreamed about visiting Beijing, and about my mother in the Cultural Revolution, and then my uncle and aunt wedding photo, and the last new photo, wedding photo, was my cousin. And you could see like women wear something so different, and it's a mixture of Western and Chinese tradition. And the last one was me, published the book and doing the signing at Beijing. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you pronounce your name? Caroline?
Caroline, yeah.
Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. So, can you maybe stand next to me? So that was a challenge, right? 6 minutes 40. Apparently, wasn't that easy.
Especially when you are not looking at the PPT.
Right. No, it's okay to actually be early because normally people are late for the presentation. So I'm happy with this. All right. So we have a question and answer Q&A session now. So we will have 3 people. Any of you want to ask a question, you can just raise your hand, and then one of our staff will come to you and give you the microphone. Anyone has a question? We have 1 over here, 2 over there, 1 and 2. The upstairs one first.
Thank you, that was really great up here. I wanted to know what the leftover monologues was that we saw that picture of. Thank you.
That was like a stage performance we did in 2015, organized by an author who was also a feminist. So about a dozen Chinese women, young women, were on the stage telling their stories about, how we fight against the idea of leftover women. So that is a term in China describing any woman who is older than 27 years old. That means you are left over and no man would like to have you. Like you are, like the dishes, so you are left there. So yeah, we are trying to fight against this idea. So we taught all kinds of different personal experiences.
Question from lady over here?
Yeah. Hi. I loved your book. Like, really loved it. Like, I'm from Singapore, and there are some very small parts of the book that I can relate to in terms of like the male bias. But what I want to know is, has your father read your book? Has it been translated to Chinese? And how does your mom and your grandmother, your family feel about it? They must be very proud of you.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been translated into Chinese, but we are thinking about that. They're very proud of me. But at the same time, I only tell them like half of the story. Like if I say I wrote something really critical of the government, and I think they will be really worried, and I don't want them to be worried. So I tell them all the happy moment in the book. So in that way, yeah. Thank you for your question.
Other question? Yep. Microphone will come.
Thank you. What do you see for the next 30 years, the next generation of women in China?
I think every now and then you probably would see international headlines saying like women in China facing this difficulties, that difficulty. Feminism movement, as I said, met a lot of backlash in China, but I still believe that it is getting better and better with almost all girls go to school like at least 9 years, and actually now it's like almost at least 12 years. And I think the society is changing. So this kind of change, nobody could stop it, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. That was inspiring. Thank you. So we're going right away directly to our second speaker, and our second speaker tonight is Jorge Franco. Jorge was born in Medellin, Colombia, and he studied film direction at the London Film School and literature at the Pontificia Universidad Javeriana. He has published several books such as El Mundo de Afuera and El Cielo a Tiros, and his other books, Rosario Tierras and Paraíso Travel, this is a lot of Spanish for me tonight, have enjoyed spectacular commercial success in Colombia and have been made into major feature films and TV series. Ride or Die, that's what he's going to talk about. Here is Jorge.
Well, I'm sorry about this. I've been eating it because I have a terrible memory, lucky me. As Peter said, I was born in Colombia, in Medellin, and I'm going to share some ideas about this complex country. At the beginning of the 80s, the city where I was born began to undergo a rapid and violent transformation that led it to be known as the drug capital of the world. The protagonists of this alteration were the members of the Medellin cartel. Little by little, they imposed a scheme of life that was very attractive to many people, expanding in this way the social circle of drug trafficking along the city. The cartel also took advantage of the marginal conditions many people lived in Medellin. Those kids who lived in the poorest areas lack any opportunities of education and work. Seducing these young people, the cartel managed to consolidate a very powerful army to fight against other cartels and against the Colombian government that had begun to persecute them. These hitmen put the state authority in check and propagated terror and fear all through the Colombian territory. During the boom years of the Medellin cartel between 1989 and 1993, nearly 6,000 people were killed, including 550 police members. And also, there were more than 600 terrorist attacks. Just between September and December 1990, the cartel exploded 100 bombs. These are just rough figures of the criminal activity of the drug traffickers in Medellin. But what happens when you are a writer and you are surrounded by this reality? I knew that in my personal story, this situation, this scenario was going to reach my writing sooner or later, only that I didn't know when or how that was going to happen. So I began to read and to explore more about these topics, about this new reality of my city, until I found a bunch of moving testimonies of some girls who were doing time in a correctional prison, and all of them were minors. Through these testimonies, I found out how they took part in the gangs. These testimonies were loaded with anger and pain because these girls had also been victims of urban violence and were marginated from society as well. They joined the gangs in order to satisfy their desires for revenge. When I went deeper into these statements, I found a similarity between these young women and the city where they and I were born. Medellin was already known as a beautiful and attractive city, perhaps the most modern city in Colombia. It was also a city that was very conservative in its traditions, but as well it was also very impulsive in its economy. The citizens of Medellin were also known, I think I'm out of sync right now with the images. The citizens of Medellin were known as hard workers, but also for being very eager for wealth. And as the drug lords got richer, the thirst for money became stronger everywhere, and a new god was venerated. This god was the god of power and money. Nightclubs became the temples for this new worship, and people from all social condition and all professional areas gathered around these temples. And then all this corrupted money generated a huge outbreak of violence, and Medellin's history changed forever. The beautiful but violent city was my inspiration to create a fictional character to tell this new situation. Her name was Rosario Tijeras, and she was beautiful and violent as the city. Rosario was raised in a very poor neighborhood. She was abused when she was a kid. She was discriminated. She was abandoned by her father. But like many girls like her, she was rewarded with physical beauty that she used to leave poverty behind. Many young people like her lost their lives trying to accomplish the assignments that the drug lords imposed on them. They were aware of this self-destructive path, but they used to say, it doesn't matter how long you live, but how you live. And with this premise, they live their short lives excessively and violently. Something similar happened to Medellin, but cities don't die at all. Instead, those people who live in the limit, they rarely get a second chance in their lives. In fact, opportunities are very elusive in our countries. And that is the main reason why young people decide to join these gangs. This book allowed me, and also the readers, to discover a dramatic situation behind the girls' activity in the gangs. And through writing this story, I could confirm that while drugs are being consumed unthinkingly in the first world countries, these same drugs leave a huge bloodshed in our countries. My character didn't succeed, but Medellin was able to make it, and Medellin took an advantage that was given by history and began a process of transformation that has not yet ended. Many tasks are still pending to achieve the desired change. It is not very inspiring to say that the death of someone can split into the history of a city, but it is a fact that for Medellin a new history started since Pablo Escobar's death. The challenge now is to break the cycles of history so no more Pablo Escobar arise again, and above all, to keep marginal young people away from the abyss, finding opportunities for them so they can die old after living their lives with hope. Thank you.
It's okay. You're not the worst so far. We've seen 250 speakers on this stage, so you're doing fine. Okay, like the previous speaker, we have Q&A now. So if you want to ask, raise your hand, and then microphone will come. Question.
Good for me.
I have a question. So what event are you going to be speaking at during the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival? Which panel session?
There is a panel about the use of curse words, of bad words in literature. That's very interesting because we take the speaking of the street, the speaking of the people, and how we convert that words, that language into literature.
How did you end up in that session? Do you use a lot of curse word in your book?
I do. Mainly because concerning this story, the book I talk about, 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧, I took the language of the street, the language of the gangs, and well, in order to get the essence of the feelings of these young people, you have to use the language.
And how did the government and also the people of Medellin respond to your book and your series? Because it tells a lot about their city as well, right?
Well, opinions are divided because some people don't like our problems to be shared outside Colombia. They say that these problems should be treated inside the country in order not to give a distorted image of the situation. But I think it's very important for the world to know that this situation with drugs, it's a worldwide problem. I mean, it's not a matter of producing countries and consuming countries. I think this is a big business that involves everyone.
Anyone has a question? Oh yeah, over here. Microphone is coming.
How do you strike the balance?
Where are you?
Over here. How did you strike a balance in writing about this crime without glorifying it, like the way the mafia is glorified in American literature?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's difficult, you know. It's because the line between creating like making heroes out of these characters is very thin. So what I do is try not to take part when I write the story. I mean, I try to be very neutral, to show the image of what is happening, and I prefer to let the readers to make conclusions of the situation. But I try not to give my own opinion about these topics. I show the scenes, I show the story, I show the situations, but trying to be very neutral.
One last question?
Hi there, my name is Alyosha, and I'm going actually to Medellin in December, and I was just wondering if you could elaborate how much % of the transformation is complete.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
Should I expect that 10% is complete or 90% is complete?
I wouldn't be able to say that in figures. It's difficult, but I mean the changes are very positive, and mainly because they made these changes through education, through culture, through infrastructure, trying to bring together two different cities that share one very same space. I mean, we have like a marginal Medellin, and on the other hand we have a modern, the beautiful city. But before the drug traffickers appeared, they were like two different cultures, two different cities in one. So they try to, through education to culture, they try to make these two cities together. And actually, the problem now with Medellin is not the violence that we got from the drug traffickers. We still have some trouble with, like any other city in the world, because we have not yet balanced the economic situation and the social situation in our country. But you can go, sure. There is no problem visiting Medellin nowadays.
You would describe it as a safe city, would you?
It is. As I told you, you may find in Medellin the same problems that you may find in Berlin, in Madrid, in Barcelona, and other cities.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙. So Reza is a waste expert and social entrepreneur. Experienced in community development, informal waste management, and marketing, she works to empower the women and children of 𝗬𝗘𝗖𝗛𝗛𝗪 waste landfill in Bekasi, West Java, that is next to Jakarta, who mostly live in poverty. She has already won several awards for her entrepreneurial skills and her efforts for the community. So please help me to welcome on stage the Princess of the Dump, 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙.
Hello everyone. Thank you for coming and thank you for having me at PechaKucha. Okay. My name is 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙 and people call me the Princess of the Dump. Not because I have a crown or I have a kingdom. Because when I was a kid, my uniform smelled like rubbish. So my friend at school called me Putri Bantar Gebang in English. We'll say Princess of the Dump. And nothing different between me and the kids grew up at the landfill. I grew up at the landfill. And then what I face every day is like the mountain of rubbish in front of my home. And then my friends, normally like the waste picker children. And then the parents raise the kids and also same like me. And then around the landfill. And the parents brought their children to the landfill sometime, and then some of them didn't go to school. And then some of them even eat leftover food from the landfill. So when I was a kid, I have no role model around me. And then my friend ended up like getting married 12 years old, 13 years old, and then very, very young age. And the landfill is so like around 110 hectare square, really big, so around 4 villages. And then Bantar Gebang is famous, the same like Bali, but not because the beautiful rice field, but because of the damaged environment. And then because of the exotic smell from the rubbish. Because in Bali, the exotic smell from the essential oil, but from our place is from the rubbish. And then, yeah, people always said to me like, Reza, like, you live at the landfill? I say, yes, this is where I live. And then like, our home, we call it something like landfill vernacular, where people take a stuff from the landfill and build their own house, and then lack of sanitation, and then clean water. But the people in Bantar Gebang, they are very happy. And then they have like a positive community. And then where they know like, this is our life. And then they don't need to look sad or beg for something. And then I create a foundation, it's called the Kingdom of Bantar Gebang BG, or we call BG. This is from the Buddhism philosophy, and then we call it the seed of love. And then in Bantar Gebang, most of the children, some of children, they don't know when they're born into this world. So every year we celebrate the birthday together. So I choose my birthday because people call me the Princess of the Dump. So I use the, not princess anymore because I'm not that young anymore. So I use the Queen's Day. Then Then people come, because I like pink, people come to my birthday party in a pink color. And then also like every Sunday we teach the children how to read, how to write, how to speak English, how to play music. We have a percussion band is called Musik Kaleng Rombeng, where the stuff they found from the landfill. So like a landfill harmony, something like that. And then I give motivation to the children, because the kids at the landfill keep telling me, oh, because you are rich, Sister Reza, that's why you can go to university. That's why you can speak English. I said, no, I cannot speak English. I only can speak broken English. Only one thing. I met my foster parent, he's from the UK, and then we met at the landfill. Then I learned how to speak English. And then at the landfill we also teach the children how to make upcycled product from the pellet, reclaimed wood from the landfill. And then we make, we create awareness about environmental for the children, how to not to produce a lot of waste. And then we ask them to bring their own water bottle every Sunday to our place, and also their own lunchbox, because we think this is important when we teach the children from the early age to understand, like the mountain of rubbish is getting bigger every day. And then I said to the kids, like, we need to do something. And my hobby is talking, you can see, yeah? Like I can talk 24 hours. That's why 6 minutes for me at PechaKucha, like a big challenge. That's why I keep like seeing the laptop. Otherwise, I just like keep talking until few hours, and then I scare with a Kaspi. And then we have a project at the landfill. It's called Tour of the Landfill, where we take people to see the life at the landfill, and then how people positive in the place. And then we got a lot of people from many countries coming to our place, and we also have a hostel at the landfill. So the first hostel at the landfill maybe in the world in 𝗬𝗘𝗪𝗏. So people can stay with us. And because of my hobby is talking, that's my hobby. And then I went to so many places, to some countries to speak, and also not just to speak about the waste, but mostly about waste. And then I got like some publication. I don't know, journalists just love to find the princess of the dam. And then they asked me many questions, and then on magazine, on TV, and got award because of my activity at the landfill. And also like the award that I got after 15 years of my activity at the landfill. So like normally, maybe easy for me if I born in USA, I'm as American, come to Indonesia as activist, and then boom, in 1 month I got the award. But because I'm and then like because I'm local after 15 years, but to be honest, I'm not looking for to be popular or to get a medal or something. I do something because I grew up at the landfill, and then to make the kids believe that nothing impossible in this world. And then also like last year I went to Nusa Dua, Bali to speak for the IMF conference, the World Bank conference, again about the waste. And then maybe like back in the day, people they don't want to talk about rubbish because not sexy. But now the issue of the environment and then the waste is become sexy. So a lot of people want to talk until the World Bank Forum. So I got invitation, and also this is 𝗪𝗪𝗪 is quite I don't know, like a bit cheeky to put the title Princess of the Dam. Since 𝗪𝗪𝗪 put the title, I got a lot of journalists from around the world come to 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗏. And also that's the reason why I come to this place. And this is just intermezzo. If you want to know more about my story, you should come on Sunday for the main program at the Ubud Writer Reader Festival on Sunday 1 p.m. And then I will be there, and then I will show you the new animation movie. It's called Sampah Sandi. And they come to 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗏's tour, and then I will screening the movie for you. So thank you.
Well, yeah, we don't like when people talk a bit too much, but I think for you, your work is inspiring, so we love hearing that, so thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so, like before, who wants to ask questions? Over there? There's one. Who else? There's two. Maybe that one first.
Hi. Thank you so much. I have a question about the mafia. So, is there a mafia in the dump? And
What kind of mafia?
my girlfriend did some research in the dump in Bandung, and she said that there is a mafia inside that dump that collects the different money that's sorted through the scavenger process. So I just have a question of, is there such a hierarchy in that dump that you live in?
Okay. Actually, I know what you want to ask me. This has happened sometime. But yeah, about mafia, maybe this is what people say, like there is like a boss and then the employees, because at the landfill itself there is two different workers. I call them 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪. I don't want to call them scavenger or waste picker. And then I call them 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪. And then one independent 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪, they go to the mountain of rubbish to pick up all and collect all the stuff and then sell direct to the company or the small company, or we call it lapak, or something like waste bank. And then there is a boss, maybe because boss sometimes, because for example, yeah, you my employees, I'm the boss, yeah, okay. I'm the boss, he's my employees. So I said to him, Bli, you should go to the landfill, and then you can stay in this house, and then I provide your house, and then you stay in that house. So every day you have to go to the landfill. When you have no money, you come to me. I loan you some money, but you have to go to the landfill and then get all the stuff and then bring it home, sell to me. You cannot sell to anyone else. Maybe I think this is what your girlfriend doing. I mean, like did research about, and then because he has a boss, which is me, and then I can buy his stuff like plastic or can or anything you find, like with a lower price. That's why people call it mafia. It's not mafia like drug dealers, but just like someone who used the opportunity because he is weak. He depend on me, so I can do anything. So yeah.
Before we go to the next question, I just have a question. Where does the government come into part? Like, where is government involved in this or not?
This is very
sorry.
scary question. Yeah. I always avoid about politics. I don't want to talk about politics and stuff about government because I'm just like activist in the grassroots level. People easy to stop, and then you cannot continue your work anymore. And that's the reason why I avoid the politics stuff. But yeah, the government part they help the people at the landfill now. I mean, like, we got the incentive money. It's called smelly money. So people who live at the landfill, they got incentive money. Not all the people. It's only resident who got ID, Bantar Gebang ID, KTP. That's what we call. But most of waste picker or 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧, they don't have Bantar Gebang ID. They come from another province, from Central Java, from West Java, not from Bantar Gebang. So people who live in Bantar Gebang, like someone like me, I have my ID, but still I don't get the smelly money because I'm not married. So, if you are married and then you have you call it kakak, and then that's the thing that can make you get that smelly money. So I don't get smelly money because I'm single, even not too young anymore, but I don't get a smelly money. Yeah. So that's the government.
Government thing.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Thoughts? Who's the other person who wants to ask a question? Oh, there you go. Sorry.
Okay, so it is no secret that in children development, the hardest challenge is to keep the children on the program, so they keep coming to the program. Because, as you said before, the children, the community there is already happy. So, also in my personal experience, that making the children realize and understand that they really need the education is quite hard. So sometimes they just come once and never come back. So what is your tricks to make your programs keep going and keep the children coming to your programs?
Oh, that's really, really good question. And yeah, for in some program in 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙, they keep giving like incentive to the children to come to that place, to their place. But for our place, we only have a small place. So what make the children eager to come every Sunday? We saw them our real love, and then we keep telling the children like, kids, I couldn't give you money because I'm not rich woman, and also I couldn't give you a lot of present because I'm not Sinterklaas. And then, but we have a love. But one day, when you keep coming to our place, and then there is someone who check, and then record, and then when we got generous people contact me. For example, for my birthday, people always call me, hey Risa, what do you want for your birthday? And I say like, right, my children want to go to swimming pool. If you want to give me present, you better get me some money, and then I can buy ticket, and then t-shirt, and then food for the children. And then that's what we are doing. But again, sometimes the parents' involvement also like important. Sometimes the parents say like, do not go to that place because Risa is Christian. She want to change your religion. They don't know my religion, yeah. And then, but they think like because I have a lot of foreign friends or volunteers come to my place, they think that I want to change people's religion at the landfill. I have no business about religion. And then I said to the kids, no kids, I just want to tell you, and then to make you believe that living at the landfill, grew up at the landfill, one day you will have future as well. And then now, what you have to do is to stay at school, and then if you cannot go to school now because there is no money, you don't have uniform or something, let me know. I will talk to the principal, and then I will talk to my friend. We can chip in some money and then send you to school. But again, like this is something difficult for the mindset of people. Sorry, not many Indonesian, yeah. Otherwise, like after this forum, they will stop me. And then the mentality now for people, even they have a lot of money, we call it sembako for the food packaging. We give to the children. And then sometimes people come to my place because every year that we give that as a parcel for Hari Raya for Muslim people. And then people with a lot of jewelry, gold and stuff, with nice motorbike, and then sometimes a car, and then also like join the queue in line, and then ask me, where is for me? I said, I don't know you. And then I said, I only give this present for the children who come every Sunday to our place for about a year. So this is the incentive for the children. And then they said like, yeah, but why you just give for the West speaker people? We are from here. And I said, this is not about West speaker, but this is about discipline. This is the mentality of people. They are rich, but feel like they are poor. That's why I tell to the kids at the BGBG at my place, kids, don't ever beg anything for to our guests who come to our place, because you are not beggar. It's true, maybe people call us poor people living at the landfill, but we are not poor. We have everything. We have our hand, our feet, our brain. And then this is just because we live at the landfill doesn't mean that we are poor. And then, yeah, then, yeah. And then the kids, they listen. And I'm sorry, Mas Kaspi will, but again, if you want to ask more or to listen more about my life story, and then you can talk to me on Sunday or after this, yeah? Thank you so much. And you can say, oh, she said she's single, but she has love ring. This is from landfill. If you want to know, yeah. And then I don't need a man to give me a ring because I have a from landfill.
Now he's a talker. Anyways, so we will go into a break now for 10 minutes, so you can buy drinks and stuff. I just want to say thank you to betelNut again for the 41st time again hosting us. There's already 42 editions so far in this stage. And we will see you in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, Maria.
start again soon, so if you're still ordering, maybe you can come back to your seat, or finish your ordering and come back to the seat. If you want to go to the toilet, go now, because we will start very soon, and then we have all the speakers to come back to their speakers lounge. Thank you for clapping. Everybody already got their beer, their drinks, their coconut, kombucha, because we're in Ubud. Okay. All right. So we're back again, and we still have 3 speakers coming up. But first, before I go to our 4th speaker, I want to talk about Hubud, that is a coworking space that is organizing this event. So I'm working for Hubud. It's a coworking space in Monkey Forest, and we have 2 spaces, one in Ubud and one in Canggu, called Dojo. So together, these 2 coworking spaces have about 600 members. They are entrepreneurs, techies, creatives, and well, from different kind of like industries, who are remote workers as well. We're coming here together maybe like to work, but also we have a community that is strong. And my role there is to make sure that everybody can get to know each other and learn, and including this event as well that we're organizing. So we organize about 2 events daily. If you haven't been to Hubud, you can get a tour at our coworking space. We're open, and like our staff is there until midnight, so you can just get any tour anytime. And one of the events coming up that is really exciting actually, it's in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that is called Startup Weekend Bali. So if you've heard this word before, startup, what is startup, what people are doing, and how can you actually create a startup, this event is the perfect event for you. If you join and you learn how to build a startup, how to validate your idea, is your idea actually correct? Like, do people actually need your business? And then you will learn how to build the business model, and also your team will help to build the prototype. And it is a competition, but it is a startup learning event. If you want to join, go to the website, or you can come to me after, or Cash after this, and then we can talk about this. Oh yeah, and we also have a Halloween party coming up on Thursday. We just decided last minute that we're gonna do it. So if you are still in town, there's a Halloween party coming up on Thursday. All right, so our fourth speaker, I know you guys are excited about her. Our fourth speaker is 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪. Applause, people. Everybody is drinking tonight. All right, so Thurs is an Indonesian academic, activist, and poet. He is a lecturer at the State University of Indonesia, teaching on themes namely ecofeminism, ecological philosophy, Eastern philosophy, philosophy of literature, and phenomenology. That's a really difficult word, last one. 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪 is also an environmental and women activist, involving in advocacy such as Benoa Bay conservation in Bali, and she's also fighting alongside the women farmers of 𝗬𝗚𝗚𝗙𝗚 Mountain in central Java in preserving their wilderness. The Dying Art of Philosophizing, is that how you pronounce it? Is the title of her company. Wow, standard.
Sorry.
But here it is, 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪.
Hi everybody, good evening. Such a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to see you all, and I want to tell you a little story, actually a love story of mine with philosophy. My first philosophy book was the 𝗬𝗚𝗙𝗪𝗏. I remember my grandfather taught me great ideas about justice, about duty, about what's the truth. And he taught me this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and I was hooked. I was hooked for life. And my grandfather was a very patient person, and I asked plenty of questions. I said, well, grandfather, what is the meaning of dharma? What is the meaning of karma? And why Arjuna resorted into war? My grandfather would always answer my question in a dialectical way, meaning he would never give me a simple answer, because he wanted me to use my own mind independently to pursue the truth. That is how I was raised by my grandfather, and he was a teacher, he was a great guy. And he loved dialogue and even a little banter, and I was a headstrong kid, and he just enjoyed deeply conversation with me. Back then, it was uncommon in my village that women go to pursue higher education, but my heart, it was already set for studying philosophy. And I remember that time that there's this expectation from society that women must assume certain roles, and women are constricted to limited roles, and I felt like suffocated. I wanted to break out and chase my dreams. And I was unsure in the beginning, but I left home, I left Bali, I left my whole family, and then I studied philosophy. I was determined to study philosophy, and my time studying philosophy was eye-opening. It widened my horizon. I studied great literature, great philosopher, such as Simone de Beauvoir, Martin Heidegger, like Maurice Merleau-Ponty, Confucius, 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪, I learn about different methods, I learn about sciences, all sorts of sciences, and it was such a time for me, and I felt like I'm living my dream. But every time I talk to people, people have this very judgmental, and people are very mean. Every time they think about philosopher, they always think about this guy, you know, a very old, male, bearded, right? Bearded person. And I really wanted to change people's mind, and I want them to know that philosophy is very interesting, it's fun. So I got graduated from my doctoral study, got invited by the university, by the Department of Philosophy to teach, and then not long after I became one of the youngest head of undergraduate philosophy study. During that time, I strive to change people's perception about philosophy. I want to say that philosophy is all about being critical and skeptical, and I think we should be critical in this time of need, because climate crisis is so worrying. We should be critical about racism, we should be critical about poverty, but also philosophy is about contemplation and finding inner peace and finding the happiness in your life. And that's what philosophy means to me. I experience hardship just because I'm a woman. I experience discrimination because I'm a woman. But that builds my character. And I find strength in philosophy. By learning feminism, I actually understood finally that us girls, we are free, right? We are free to choose the life that we want, and we can have ambitions and aspirations, and we should have equal opportunities. And also, by learning feminism, I also realized it's not enough that I free myself, but because also feminism is a social movement, it's a solidarity, it is a sisterhood towards a better humanity, it's a cooperation, so we can create this new society that there's no injustice, there's no hatred, there's no discrimination. That's my dream, that should be our dream. Thank you. When I wrote my book, Eco-Phenomenology, it was greatly inspired by my time with my grandfather, just strolling around Sanur and philosophizing about life. But I have this fear inside my heart that philosophy is dying because people are so infatuated with this fast life and very shallow and empty materialism and absorbed in anger and hatred. And I also very dreadful about the looming climate crisis because of our unsustainable living. And my village here in Bali, they are clutching into their traditions and values to save this delicate balance, and the threat is real in Bali because of the modernization and industrialization. What people don't understand, actually, there is no humanity without nature, and there is nothing outside nature. The same thing goes into philosophy. Even the content of our consciousness, our sense of loving, sense of caring, those emotions are made possible because of we are surrounded with the nature. But I'm still very hopeful, and I'm still practicing my art of philosophy. As the great philosopher Immanuel Kant once said, have the courage to use your own mind. And I think now is the critical time for us to use our own mind and to practice compassion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thurs. Oh, that was a really great talk. Anyone has a question?
Well, thanks for your talk. It's awesome. I'm a philosopher too. And
You're in philosophy. Oh, there's two philosophers.
There's more.
Yeah.
So my question stuff, which is great, but you regarding tech and the future of humans, right? Because as it means to be humans. People like Elon Musk with Neuralink, for example, want to have humanity in symbiosis with artificial intelligence. Or so, what do you think of that? So, how would you define what it means to be human? And because you mentioned nature as well, and how would you reply to that?
Very hard question. Yes, sir. Thank you. And I feel technology is a part of us defining our identity and humanity. But, and I quote in my book, Eco-Phenomenology, I said, we have to dare ourselves to imagine more that this technological system and society that we're having, this is not it. We have to create and innovate more technology that is more sustainable, that is creating this even tighter bond between human beings, not creating segregations and poverty. But that, I think that's the future. It starts with this concept that we are, through our mind, through our willingness and our will, that's possible. I think we should embrace technology, and we are seeing how technology actually tackling a lot of climate crisis problem, and it's helping humanity. That's my position.
Other question? At the back? It's coming.
Hey, theologists in the house, you're not alone.
We're like your brother and sister,
There's
actually.
more weird people here.
Yeah.
Well, what's your perspective on environmental conservation here in Bali with 𝗨𝗘𝗖𝗛𝗪 in place and with many people trying to really love nature and be one with nature? What's your perspective as a local, knowing how things are on the grassroots?
Well, I realized actually, I was raised that 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗧 is not only a separate knowledge being studied in a classroom or in the academia, but us Balinese, we live with 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗧, the three causation of happiness, of palemahan, of nature, of pawangan, of people, and God, pariangan. And I see now how this problem could push us into a verge of distress. But I also am very hopeful by seeing how we are united as a society, as a community, to protect the last wilderness. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Bay is actually one of our signs of hope that people are fighting for the last wilderness of the bay. Of course, every day for 5 years, we are constantly living in a verge of crying and tears. That would be the symbol of how we are contesting ourselves with modernization and industrialization. But as I said, I'm very hopeful, and the sign how indigenous communities are moving into this important social movement and also influencing other social movements all around the world. I think that's 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗧 also.
Any question over here?
Thank you. So, hi, thank you for your talk. In light of philosophy and in light of Bali, how do you feel about the changing psychology? Some sectors of Bali become successful capitalists, and as some people are getting wealthier here amongst the Balinese, how do you think there's a...
Thank you. And as I said earlier, also connected to the question about technology and how we are viewing ourselves and putting ourselves into this society that creating even larger classes. I think that's the problem, because in a way we should aim to be to create prosperity, not injustice. And I fear if we are going to continue business as usual in Bali with the stress happening to our water, to our land, we will be reaching that diminishing return. We will be walking into our own grave. And there's this point, as I said, this delicate balance of 𝗬𝗕𝗙𝗪𝗏 that we have to maintain. And also in Bali, there's this philosophy of 𝗬𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪𝗏, of realizing one's mistake and the power to right the wrongs. And in Bali, I think we are in that crossroad of where are we going to turn right now. And I'm hoping that we are having 𝗬𝗪𝗥𝗙𝗪𝗏, of realizing mistakes and rebuilding the collapsed society.
Thank you. And that was the last question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give an applause to Sarah again. Thank you. All right, so our fifth speaker for tonight is Didit Maulana. Thank you. Applause. Right, so Didit is the creative director of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Indonesia by Didit Maulana. As a fashion designer, he dedicated himself to advancing the fashion direction of Indonesian and Asian textiles. He's spreading the pride to wear traditional textile craft to the younger generation in Indonesia. Speaking about weaving of culture, please help me to welcome Didit Maulana.
Hello. Good evening, beautiful people. This will be the longest 6 minutes and 40 seconds in my life. Okay, so can you spot which one I am? So the one in the middle wearing the green jacket called 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗏. It was in 1988. But my love for culture is long. Before that, I have to thank my late grandma and grandpa for being an influencer for culture in my life. And this is what makes me today. So I got this structured mindset from my architectural background, and then I got a very broad network because I was working for broadcasting industries and then working for a retail company. And starting in 2011, I started my own line, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Indonesia, which is focusing on 𝗏𝗏 textiles. And this is the vision. As when I was first starting my line, I realized that my life is not my life. In the sense of I want to share it with more people. So the vision for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is growing together, introduce the country through culture and synchronizing the culture with technology. And then this is Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, 260 million of population in 17,000 islands, in which each tradition they have their own patterns and they have their own story in each patterns that I call it. This is the good side for the culture. And then this is the challenges that we are facing before 2011 when we not yet starting the line. That 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is not yet perceived as something that you can wear. It's more to something that decorative. So we start 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Indonesia as a platform for introducing culture to younger generations by infusing through lifestyle and fashion. And the things that is interesting is not only the end of product, but the way that it was made is also interesting. And this is the strategy. We work with influencing personas, extend the ideas, let them be the storytellers. And then we did so many fashion shows. And then we be seen on other media platforms, and this is the strategy to get into these young generations. And then in other parts, we were working closely with a local weaver, and then we are now working with some vocational school on introducing 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from a very young age. We are hoping that there will be many people that choosing 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 as the profession. And then this is some of the highlight of my life in 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. We started in 2011 and then start the men's collections after that, and then create the 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙, which is the premium line for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in 2013. And this is the big hit. It was the cool collaborations, sold out in 2.5 hours in Indonesia as well as in Malaysia and Singapore, and this becoming one of the merchandise for Grammy Awards in 2016. And this is the story of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Indonesia. And then in 2016, I see the potential on infusing culture into modest fashion, where I be the speaker in one of the event. And then the year after, I start to begin the process of my book, which is called The Tale of Kebaya. And I work with Malaysia on preserving also the ikat pahang from Malaysia. We create some of the interesting collections. And this one is introducing culture through a different platform, collaboration with Starbucks. This is inspiring by Bali pattern called 𝗡𝗜𝗚𝗙𝗚. This one is interesting and selling like a peanut, so it's a good thing. And then I think this is, I will remember this for the rest of my life. We created the longest ikat ever, which is 45,000 meters, and we were working with more than 3,000 weavers to create more than 80,000 sets of uniform. And then this one, this is like a dream come true. Working with Disney, we create the ikat pattern for Mickey 90th anniversary celebration in 2018, and yeah, we were so happy with the collaborations. And this one, I created the packaging for the soy sauce, and then working with 𝗨𝗪𝗨𝗪𝗧, an famous Indonesian author. And the part of the profit, we are doing the education for young farmers. And then just a week ago, we just launched the collections for the flight attendants for Garuda Indonesia, the Indonesian Airlines, where we create infusing the culture in the women. This is called inspired by kebaya, and then the men's is inspired by the men's attire, looking charismatic. And this year will be special. I present, this is the book, The Tale of Kebaya. I present this for my late grandma, as she always using kebaya almost every day. The book is about how to mix and match, how to look good in kebaya, and the history behind. And then this is my grandma. Hi, grandma. She's the one in the middle. This is in 1970s. She always wear it every day. And kebaya is being the women national attire. And it's very interesting to see kebaya because it's not only making women looking beautiful, but it's also give you the identity, give you the strength, give you the power. And it's very versatile since you can combine it with everything. And now we have a special day wearing kebaya, which is Tuesday in kebaya, which is trending on Instagram and other social media. So yeah, this is me and the ikat. I am transforming, ikat is transforming, and this is my social media account. So we're working hand in hand together. Let's preserve the world culture. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, after listening to your talk, I feel bad because I'm not preserving our culture. I'm wearing Indian kurta. I just realized on the way here, I'm like, oh my god, I'm meeting a designer and then I'm wearing this. But anyways, I'll wear ikat next time if you give me one. Good? Right? Alright. Okay, so anyone has a question? This gentleman over here, microphone. And there's one over there as well. Maybe who goes first? Maybe you can go first.
Okay, first. Hi, Mas Didit. I'm here.
Oh, hi.
So, as a kebaya lover myself, I know that we both really love kebaya. I want to know your take in over modified kebayas that a lot of women are wearing these days. That's it.
So I think there's so many women are now doing the modification for kebaya. I think the good thing if they knew the roots, how it made, and then the philosophy behind. Because in my architecture year, I always teach that before you deconstruct something, you have to know the real construction. Before modify something, you have to at least know what's the authentic look it is. And so that's why in the book I having a third chapter about what's kebaya, the history behind how to wear it, and then. But I see, because of the modification now, I think it's good because it's a good thing that people are now seeing it as a trend, and what we have to do is how we can create the momentum for kebaya. My vision is to introduce kebaya as a like a kimono for Japan and Japanese, and sari for India, and the next big things is kebaya from Indonesia.
Halo Mas Didit.
Halo.
Mau tanya, what's the big challenging to make a people and young people to love and confidence to wearing ikat and traditional weaving in this fast fashion generation? I mean.
Okay. In the first year, what we did is we worked together with some personas, and then we create some photo shoot on how to wear this the look like this, because maybe for the people is not Indonesian, this kind of type of cloth is not for young generation. It's more to older generation, more to senior, and then the way to wear it is not like ready to wear, but it's like more like cloth, more traditional. And I think by giving many inspirations and by utilizing a social media platform and giving some inspiration on how to wear it, you can wear it for formal, and then this kind of look you can put it inside, and then you can wear your blazer, and then you're ready for Capri traveling. So this kind of type of inspirations that we have to give to the audience.
Other question? One last one? And? Yeah. Oh my God. Wait. I already pointed out. Olivia? Already? Okay.
Hi, I'm sorry. So I've noticed a lot of younger generation, like my age, 15-ish. A lot of us wear kebayas with jeans and shorts, but traditionally we would wear the sarong, right? What's your opinion on that? What's your opinion on the younger generation using it with jeans and shorts instead of the traditional sarong?
Okay, so in fashion there is no wrong or right, it's just a taste, and I think we are taking baby steps, and it's good that the young generations are now mixing kebaya with shorts, but I think once they know on how to wear it, and then the beauty if you can wear the kebaya in the authentic way, I think it can give you or give others a different perception. And I think the young generation are now very creative with a lot of informations they receive. I think it can be something interesting. I mean, wearing kebaya with the clothes, and then you can wear your sneakers. I think it's gonna be something interesting as well. And yeah, it can presenting the culture in interesting way, in a new way. Just like what I say is everything is transforming.
Thank you. So that was the last question. Thank you so much. And if you want to talk to Mas Didit, you can talk after this. And those who ask questions today can come to Kashfi after this. Apparently there's something present. Thank you. All right, so we are coming to our last speaker for tonight. Before I go and introduce him, I just want to say thank you again to our team, especially for Kashfi, who already organized all the speakers, and then also does the speaker training and everything, and Faisal and the rest. Thank you so much. Applause, please. Thank you. All right, so our last speaker for tonight is 𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏, and he is a broadcaster and the author of several best-selling books such as Ghost Empire and Saga Land. Richard is also the presenter of Conversations, broadcast throughout Australia on ABC Radio. Taking us on a journey in looking for for lost Viking treasure in Iceland, here is Richard Feidler.
Thank you very much, Vito. Hello everyone, we feeling hot tonight? Let me take you somewhere cold. I want to take you to an island that's a lot like Bali. It's beautiful and volcanic, but in every other way, it's completely different. This is Iceland. Iceland is an island in the North Atlantic, and it sits on the rim of the Arctic Circle. And it sits on top of these two tectonic plates. So that means it's an island of dramatic mountain ranges and volcanoes and pounding waterfalls and icy fjords. I used to look at this map of Iceland when I was a kid, and I used to wonder, how do people live there in all that ice and snow? Now, Iceland was uninhabited for millions of years until the Vikings came there. They sailed there from Norway in around about the 9th century, in the Middle Ages. And the word Viking comes from the Norse word vik, which means bay. So Vikings are people who live in a bay. And when they settled in Iceland, they settled in a place that they called Reykjavik, which means smoky bay. And they called it that because of the steam, the geothermal steam that was coming up out of the ground. Now, Iceland is this incredibly beautiful place, and I went there for the first time in 2015 with this guy. This is my good friend, 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙. Kári was born in Iceland, but has spent most of his life in Australia. But he's retained this absolutely tragic love for Iceland. And that's because he's a writer. And Iceland is an island that's full of stories. Now, he and I made this radio project together in Iceland about the great sagas of Iceland. That's one of the saga books there. Now, these are true stories in the sagas. They're true stories about real people who actually existed, the first Viking families who settled on that impossible island in the Middle Ages. And he and I both love these stories. And Kári's actually descended from this guy. He's the greatest of the saga authors. He's got a wonderful name. He's called Snorri Sturluson. Now, Snorri Sturluson is Iceland's national hero, and there's a street and a statue and a beer named after him in Reykjavik. And he wrote the tale I'm about to tell you, and he also wrote a book called the Prose Edda. And that's where we get all of Norse mythology from. All these stories of Thor and Odin and Loki that are appearing absolutely bloody everywhere at the moment in Marvel Comics movies, they were created by Kári's ancestor, this fat Icelandic lawyer writing in a farmhouse in the 13th century. So we had a plan. We were going to go all over Iceland and record stories from the sagas in the places where they actually unfolded 1,000 years ago. And so we travelled through the fields and the farms and the streams and the fjords of Iceland. And one of the first places we went to was a farm on the west coast of Iceland called Borg. And that's Borg right there. Borg means rock, okay? And this was once the home of a Viking by the name of 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 you all try saying that now, please, will you? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that sounded like a big long gurgle from where I was standing, but well done nonetheless. Now, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 the ugliest man in Iceland, and you can see it's true. He was a vicious and unpleasant human being, but a great warrior. And he won a chest of silver from the King of England when he fought for him. But the king said he must take it home with him to Iceland to give to his father. But 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 was a mean bastard, and he kept it for himself. So he went home to his farm, to his wife and 5 kids, and became a grumpy old man. And the youngest of his kids was his favourite. He was a little boy called 𝗪𝗪𝗪. Now, 𝗪𝗪𝗪 was a curious boy, and he asked one day if he could go down into the bay at low tide and watch the fishermen as they went about their work. And 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 said he could. But he got caught in the tidal flux, and the little boy drowned. 𝗪𝗪𝗪 drowned. And when he died, something inside 𝗪𝗪𝗪 broke. And he went back to his longhouse, into his room, and sat there in the dark and waited to die. Now, his wife didn't know how to deal with this, so he contacted their eldest daughter, a woman named 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙, who came straight away. And she pounded on the door and said, "Father, open up. I too would rather die than live without my brother and my father." And he said, "That's well said, daughter. Come in." And they sat there in the darkness together. And she said, "Father, while we wait to die, why don't you compose a verse about Bothfather? And he said, that's well said as well. She said, but first you're going to need some water for your voice. So they called up a jug from the kitchen, and 𝗪𝗚𝗏 drank it down, and then he threw the jug to the ground and he said, we've been tricked. This isn't water, this is milk. And she said, don't worry, just compose your verse. She was really a very sly and clever woman. So 𝗪𝗏𝗏 sat there and tried to compose it in his head. And the words came hard to him. They came slowly, but then they did come. My mouth strains to move the tongue, to weigh and wing the choice word. Not easy to breathe, Odin's inspiration. In my heart's hinterland, little hope there. And when he finished, 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙 said, it's beautiful, Father, but it'd be terrible if you died and the verse died with it. So why don't you go downstairs and read it to the family? And he agreed. And as he did so, 𝗪𝗏𝗏 sang himself back into life again. Now every Icelander today knows this poem. It's called the 𝗨𝗪𝗘𝗧. It's the lament for the lost son. And 𝗪𝗪𝗏 told this story to me in this church, which is in Borg. And as he told it, we both had a tear in our eyes because we both have beautiful sons, and life without them would be unbearable to us. So 𝗪𝗏𝗏 had sung himself back into life again. But he was still a mean and nasty bastard. And there was still the problem of what to do with the silver from the King of England. So one afternoon he set out with 2 slaves, and they went up into the hills on his farm, and they buried the treasure there. Now, 3 men went out to bury the treasure, but only 𝗪𝗏𝗏 came back. And it was said that he buried both those slaves with the treasure so no one could find it. And even today, people still go to Borg, to that farm, to find 𝗪𝗏𝗏's buried silver. But the real and everlasting treasure of Borg is the poem, the 𝗨𝗪𝗘𝗧. Thank you very much.
Anyone has a question?
Come on, ask me anything. I'm not shy.
You want to raise a hand? Ready? No? So during the Ubud Writers Festival, what session are you attending? Or like, are you going to speak at?
I'm going to be talking on a session on my own about my 2 books. The first book I wrote, which is about Byzantium, and the second book, which I wrote with my friend 𝗪𝗏𝗏 that I showed there, which is about Iceland, about the sagas of Iceland. And I'm also on a panel with Lucy down the front here, where we're talking about writing history and how much fun that is. And how you can sort of get caught into a vortex of it, and you've got to be able to climb your way out of it in writing about history.
Anyone here have a question? Oh, here, sorry.
Hello, shout it out.
Yeah, so what did Marvel miss? What's the story?
What did Marvel miss from the... what did Marvel miss? You know, it's not too bad, I have to say. It's actually not so bad. It's all dressed up in superhero costume. Thor that I showed there from Marvel Comics was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee in the 1960s. They were comic creators who were brought up, they were given really good educations, I think, and they got a lot of Norse mythology as they were growing up. So it's really not too bad. So you actually have quite a few of the elements there. So much of the saga stories are about how you interpret them, because people in the sagas, they never tell you what they're thinking. There are no soliloquies. So you have to make your mind up based on what they say and what they do. And like I said, when 𝗪𝗏𝗏 was telling me the story there of 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 and his lost son, you know, he and I, being both fathers, were really focused on the tragedy of it and the sadness of it. And at the end of that day, we went back to his sister's house in Reykjavik, and she said, oh, what have you guys been doing today? Oh, we went and recorded 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏's saga story. And she went, oh, I love that story. And she sat and she told me the same story, but from the point of view of 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙, the clever daughter. And it's a much more playful story, the way she told it. She told it like the story of a sly and clever girl who tricks her father into not killing himself, not starving to death in a room. And it was kind of happy the way she told it. And I was thinking, God, what a couple of morose bastards 𝗪𝗏𝗏 and I are to sit there and go like that. But when she saw it as kind of a happy story with a happy ending.
One last question. Oh, somebody asked, where's the silver?
I'm serious. People go all over that farm today with metal detectors, looking for that silver, and they still do it today. And everyone's kind of got these stories. In Australia, we have a story of looking for 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗏 reef. There's supposed to be a reef of gold in the middle of the desert, and people still look for it today. It's not there. 𝗨𝗪𝗥𝗙, city made of gold. There's something about precious metals that makes people go crazy. And so you can still go out to this farm in Iceland, and on the basis of a story written 700 years ago, people have got metal detectors looking for a silver. It was given to him by King 𝗬𝗘𝗨𝗪𝗏 of England. He went to fight for him, and he was supposed to give it to his father, but he kept it for himself.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. Those are our 6 speakers. Again, can we give a big applause to all our speakers? Didi, Richard, and Saras. If you want to see where they're going to give a talk at or panel sessions and stuff, you can go to Ubud Writers and Readers Festival's website. And our next one is going to be edition 43, and I think it's going to be next year in February. If you want to speak, please come to me or Kashfi after this. And thank you so much, and see you next time. Thank you.
Can I ask all the speakers to come on stage, please? Richard, George,
can we have Didi, Caroline, Richard, and Saras?
#documentation. And for the people who ask questions, please come to me after. For Mas Didi question. All right, after this.
You guys going out? Let's wait the guy that's not crazy. See you tomorrow, probably. Yes. Yeah.